James Dorsey is a Middle East expert with the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies in Singapore. He's also the author of Turbulent World of Middle East Soccer. He joins us now via Skype from Jakarta. Good to have you with us, James. What do you make of FIFA's decision? I mean, are you at all surprised?
No, this was a foregone conclusion. I think that we have had months or weeks of basically discussing hot air and something that was, in my mind, delusionary. With other words, Qatar was willing to play this out. It certainly became clear after Kuwait and Oman said that they would not be able to accommodate FIFA in an expanded World Cup. And the idea that Infantino was putting forward, that an agreement to share the World Cup with Saudi Arabia and the UAE would put an end to the Gulf crisis, was basically pie in the sky.
Could Qatar have hosted a 48-team tournament at this stage, if it had to, without the involvement of other countries in the region?
It probably would have been difficult. Fact of the matter is that Qatar, since 2010, has been preparing for a 32-team World Cup, and to expand that by basically half of it, so going from 32 to 48, would have been an enormous task in the last stretch towards the World Cup. And I think that Qatar may have been willing to share with Oman and Kuwait. Keep in mind that Oman's been very helpful to Qatar during this whole Gulf crisis in the last 2 years, and Kuwait is the mediator. But there was no way that it could be shared with Saudi Arabia and the UAE as long as the boycott was in place. And the boycott is about much more than the World Cup.
As you've written, the Middle East is passionate about football. What happens, I know it's still a long way off, but what happens if the Qatar blockade is still going on in 2022? Qatar won't restrict fans from coming to the country, but will the blockading nations allow their own fans to travel?
That's the $64,000 question. I think that if indeed the Gulf Rift, the boycott of Qatar, continues until the World Cup in 2022, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, Egypt are going to have a really difficult problem. It's a soccer-crazy part of the world. This is the first time that a mega sporting event is being held in the Middle East, and in fact in their backyard. And fans, one, are not allowed to travel to Qatar under the boycott. But even if they were allowed, the logistics of getting to Qatar, given the cut in air traffic, the closure of the Saudi-Qatari border, means that the logistics of getting to Qatar would be very difficult. So in the end, you could see the boycotting states being put into a position where they will have to breach their own boycott.
So FIFA 2026 will be a 48-team tournament. What will that mean for the host nation?
Well, for the Americas, so it's a shared World Cup in 2026. They've got basically a number of years to prepare for this, and you're talking about countries that already have a significant degree of infrastructure in place. So that will not be very difficult to accommodate. I think that the bid or the attempt by Infantino, the FIFA president, to persuade Qatar to agree to a 48-team competition really was doing the bidding of the UAE and Saudi Arabia, which have been pushing for that because they ideally would like to see Qatar deprived of the World Cup, of its World Cup hosting rights. But if that's not achievable, at least force it to share the glory.
James, good to talk to you. Many thanks indeed for being with us. James Dorsey.
My pleasure.
Libyan war